The minivan, aka George Niang, is a man of extremes, fierce competitor, and up for a laugh. Like the time he was riding an elevator in Denver with a famous person he didn't know.
I'm like, why would he do that? But I'm like, John Mellencamp. John Mellencamp. And I'm like,
and by that time he's gone, right?
Yeah, so as I get off the elevator, the doors are closing, and I'm like, John Mellencamp. And he disappears into the night or whatever. And I remember calling my mom and be like, you're not going to believe who I just ran into on the elevator. And it was just like the most simplistic thing. And I was Googling him. I'm like, that's the guy.
Well, he was, after all, born in a small town. George Niang, playing big for the 76ers. Next on Fresh 24.
Sixers lock all windows and doors. For the record! Yeah! Redding, can he get it off? And the putback turning garbage into gold.
George Niang, arguably, your 2 years with the 76ers have been the best of your pro career. Why do you think that is?
For me, I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by some really good players, since I've been here in Philadelphia. I don't think you understand how dominant Joel is and the presence that he brings until you get to play alongside him. Defending him is one thing. Being on another team against him is another thing. But, being on his team and seeing how defenses react on a night in, night out basis is a whole other thing. So I've been lucky enough, to be on the court with him numerous amount of times where he's been a facilitator and drawn enough attention to get me some shots. James Harden, the same thing. I think me and him have built up, a great rapport, since I've been here or since he's gotten here. And then just to top it all off, playing for a coach like Doc Rivers, which I've been lucky enough to have 2 years with him, that, puts me in positions to be successful. Before I got here, Doc called me and said he believed in me and my abilities and what I can do. And he's put those into action and let me grow into the player that I am today. And I'm super thankful for that.
So I want to give some love to my girl, Kate Scott, who has come up with her best catchphrase to date. When you hit a three, it's bang, bang, George Niang. It's kind of like taking on a life of its own, and you've embraced it as well, huh?
Yeah, Kate Scott is so witty and thinks on her feet. And now it's I should probably get it trademarked at this point.
You better ask her first, Bob.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, she's a feisty.
Or partner.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes I don't even know if people know my first name at this point. Because, I'm in the streets of Philadelphia and hearing people just say bang, bang, and I ultimately just know who they're directing that to. But it's super cool. Me and Kate have built up a good relationship since she's been here. And it's been awesome, the fact that she can tie in something that is memorable and it's something that I do and loop it in so that fans can say it and use it. I've even seen people at the game painting it on their chest. So I think it's super funny and it's super cool to be tied into your fan base like that they embrace you, that Kate has embraced me. And I think that's important.
So some say that a little adversity is good for the soul, and you've had your share, certainly in the beginning of your career. Go back to college, you had a serious foot injury. Once you got in the NBA, you were waived a couple of times in and out of the G League. How does that help you?
I've told someone this before, but when I was in college and I was thinking about my journey to the NBA, I never really saw myself, I don't want to say playing in the NBA. It was always like just getting to the NBA. And when I look back on my career and how it's evolved, I always kick myself for not being like, why didn't you envision yourself, out there being a starter or being a playmaker and different things like that. So my first year was, I almost felt like I had made it, right? Like I got there, I'm good. This is, and then I realized that nothing is going to be given to you. So my first year in Indiana, I think I played a total of 25 games, 4 minutes a game. I didn't even average a point a night. I was 1 for 12 from 3. And I ended up getting cut. And the best thing that happened to me was being signed to the Warriors on a training camp deal where I was going to go play for their G League team. And they let me go to China with them. I did all preseason with them, and I got to see a Warriors team that just came off a championship, how they worked, how they ticked, how they operated. And it was amazing to me because I got in there, and every day Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson were doing the same routine at the same time every day. No matter what, there was always like a routine to it, whether if it was we flew in late from China or we were on our second day of training camp or the first day of training camp. And it made me realize that these guys are the best of the best and have won a championship, and they have a routine, no matter sick, ill-willed, not feeling great, mad, sad, they're getting their routine done. So no matter what's going on in their life, they're constantly giving themselves to get a small percent chance better every single day. And that was kind of the turning point in my career, because once I got cut in Indiana, I was like, did I just blow the only opportunity that I had to live out a dream that I've had my whole life? So having a routine is something that's been huge to my success. Obviously getting waived was probably one of the worst feelings that I've had as a professional, when for the first time in your career, you're told that, you're not good enough to be on this team or you're not the right fit. But with that being said, I came up with a routine and I never wavered from that. And I think I tell people this all the time. You wonder why successful people are few and far between. It doesn't matter what field you're in. They have a routine, and the number one thing that everyone has that's successful is grit. They're willing to go longer and harder for a longer duration of time than regular people, because when stuff gets tough, a lot of people want to quit. But how long can you hang on to the rope until you get what you've actually wanted? And I feel like that's kind of been my career, just continuing to grow, stick to my routine, hold on, and have enough grit to deal with all the BS in any business, but in this business, and continue to be successful.
You grew up about an hour north of Boston, maybe a half hour. Don't tell me you were a Celtics fan.
Sadly, Mark, I was confused as a young kid. I did grow up a Celtics fan. I think it was around in 2008 when they won it. And that was kind of me transitioning, into college and, going away to high school, actually, where I kind of, you kind of lose touch of the NBA when you're looking to get recruited by a high major college. You're more focused on college teams than you are the NBA. So as a young age, I remember growing up, going to Celtics games and being a fan. As I grew older, it was kind of like I was indifferent about it. And now I live by the motto, I like who likes me. Right. So I am a Sixers diehard. We're all from Philly, right? So I enjoy embracing, the basketball here, the hockey, the football, the baseball. I've even seen some indoor lacrosse. So I'm Philly through and through.
Nice. Let me just add before I go to the next question, Doc Rivers, the coach of that 2008 team. The classic NBA question: when did you first pick up a basketball?
I think I was 6 years old. I saw my dad dunking on a hoop that I thought was 10 foot. So I thought my dad was like Vince Carter. But I got older, I realized that hoop was probably 8.5 feet. I picked it up then and kind of, was dribbling around my neighbor's driveway and shooting. And back then, I was following the Celtics. There was a player, Dana Barros, who actually played for the Philly.
Oh yeah, played in Philly, sure.
I got to know him now that I've gotten older, and I remember screaming out his name, being like that kid that was trying to be him. Little did I know he was not a 6'7" power forward. He was a 6'1" guard. But yeah, I picked it up when I was 6. Started playing outside, and my mom signed me up, for our local in-town league, and then it kind of took off from there. But I played multiple sports growing up, and I think that's important for all kids. Is don't just narrow it down to one. Do a bunch of different things, because you definitely don't want to exhaust yourself of just one thing at that age. You just have so much developing and learning to do.
By the way, quick story, and then we'll move on. You mentioned Dana Barros was part of a really bad Sixers team under John Lucas back in the 90s, and was given the keys of the car, set season record for the team for threes made. And ML Carr, of all people, ended up signing him for the Boston Celtics just to complete that. But I did note that you were a student body president at your prep school in New Hampshire. Why was that? Do you have any interest in politics?
A little bit here and there. To be honest, a lot of things in high school are popularity contests. So I was lucky enough that I was a jock and I was popular enough to get voted in. But it was a huge learning experience for me. It allowed me to learn how to public speak. I got to speak at my graduation, which I'm sure my mom was kicking and screaming when she found out that, and being so happy that I could do that at my graduation. I do have interest in politics. I think when you're involved in a community, in a country, it's your duty as a citizen to do the right things to make this place a better place. And if I can contribute a little bit every single day to help making the place that I live in, a place that I've grown up in, the country that I was born and raised in, a better place, I think that's our due diligence as a citizen. So I think it's on everybody to be involved in politics and not just turn your head or turn your cheek to what's going on. So it's really important to me to get out and find out, what's happening in our community, what's happening in our country, and devote a part of my life to that to continue to make this place a better place.
In that vein, is it important to you, no matter your political bent, we don't have to go there, but is it important to you that we stop yelling at each other so much and start listening more?
Yeah, I think that's huge. We're all brought into this world not to be the same, right? Everybody has their differences, and I was always been told, when dealing with other people, to love the similarities, but respect the differences. So if someone has a difference in opinion, that doesn't mean that I need to raise my voice and let them know how wrong they are for having that opinion, but more or less just to respect the fact that, they have the courage to share that they have a difference in opinion. And, it's okay to close your mouth and open up your ears and learn something every once in a while. I've had to learn that the hard way a couple of times in my life, but just as human beings, I think it's okay to have differences. That's what makes this world such a great place and so unique, that we don't have the same person running around. I think all of us would be going crazy if that were the case. But to have differences and to respect them and try and learn a little something from everybody on your journey would definitely help, like I said before, make this world a better place. Getting over the top, aggravated, and upset because someone doesn't see the world the same way that you does is, I want to say unacceptable, but we're at a place where the world needs so much more love than it does disrespect and hate.
One question in that regard, it's become commonplace for athletes now to use their platform. And when they do that, it's not necessarily to say, hey, we should listen to each other, but they have a particular viewpoint. Do you think that's a good thing, that athletes should use their platform to further what they think is a good cause?
Oh, absolutely. I think athletes, sometimes don't realize how big their platform is. And they should continue to educate themselves on how big their platform is and what they're addressing on their platform, because so many people see what they're saying or what they're putting out there. And it's important that they use this platform in a positive light. We've seen on numerous occasions how, athletes have used this platform to help build neighborhoods, to, help our education system. There's just so many different things that can help just by bringing awareness to everybody that, the social media platform mainly has helped us out with, having a Twitter, having an Instagram, Facebook, gathering all these people to have a platform and state what's important to you and how we can change that. The one thing that I do want to make sure that I say though is, there is a lot of pressure on athletes to speak up and say things. And so I how do I say this? I challenge, all athletes, to continue to educate yourself on topics that you have no clue about. But if you are passionate about them, educate yourself on them before you speak out and use your platform, because you never know who it can affect. And like I said, it's on us as citizens to continue to make this world a better place. So if you're going to speak out, challenge yourself to get out there and know what you're talking about, because we have enough internet geniuses out there that think they know what they're talking about, but also don't educate themselves on what they're saying.
We're going to get back to basketball in just a second.
Yeah,
but first, it feels like the right time to sort of, dumb it down a little bit. And a couple of things I'm going to do. First, I'm going to give you a choice between a couple of things. This is going to go fast. I just want you to blurt out the answer. So I'll give you, a choice between two different things, and I want to hear your answer really quick. And then we'll move on to my music library. I'll give you 5 different artists that I have in my library, and you tell me if you have that in your library, since, as I mentioned earlier, you're about less than half my age. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Choice between 2 things. Be quick. Here it goes. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Blue or red?
Blue.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Rock or rap?
Rap.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Chocolate or vanilla? Don't
chocolate.
think about it.
Chocolate.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Plain or peanuts?
Peanuts.
Thick or thin?
Thick.
Maximum or minimum?
Maximum.
All right. 5 artists that I have in my music library. You tell me if I match up with you. The Beatles.
Yes.
John Mayer.
Absolutely.
Notorious B.I.G.
Definitely.
Quincy Jones.
No chance.
No chance. And Nikki Yanofsky.
I don't know if I have those last 2 in my library.
Quincy Jones, look him up. He's a Hall of Famer in so many different respects. He's a brilliant composer, is known for jazz, but also R&B. He is just he's an amazing guy. But so is John Mellencamp.
Yes.
And you know a little something about John Mellencamp. Tell me what you know about him.
Well, I grow up and my mom was constantly playing old school music around me, and that name, obviously, when it comes up, I'll tell you a story about it. We were actually in Denver, but to get back to it, John Mellencamp sings Jack and Diane, and that was a song that my mom constantly played while I was, growing up. But I never really realized that it was sung by John Mellencamp. I just was like, oh, that Jack and Diane song. So we're in Denver, and I just get done getting a massage. It was actually a little while ago. And I'm getting on the elevator, and there's this old guy and younger age guy, and I get on, and I'm like, this elevator might be going down. I'm weighing a little too much. And the old guy looks me up and down. He's real serious. He's like, I think you're good. I think you're good. And I'm like, well, you know what? I appreciate that. And we're riding up the elevator, and he says to me, he's like, are you one of those basketball guys? And I'm like, at this point, I'm just being an idiot. I'm like, yeah. I hope we can kick Denver's ass tomorrow. And he just didn't have much to say. And I'm thinking as we're going up, I'm about to get off, the doors are opening, and I'm like, are you like a basketball fan or something? He's like, no, I'm John Mellencamp. So I'm like, I'm George Niang. And I shake his hand. And in my head, I'm like, why did this guy give me his full name on the elevator? Like, what? Like, why would he?
Oh, you had no idea at that time.
I'm like, why would he do that? But I'm like, John Mellencamp. And I'm like,
and by that time, he's gone, right?
Yeah, so as I get off the elevator, the doors are closing, and I'm like, John Mellencamp, and he disappears into the night or whatever. And I remember calling my mom and be like, you're not going to believe who I just ran into on the elevator. And it was just like the most simplistic thing. And I was Googling him. I'm like, that's the guy.
And what did your mom say?
She was like, how could you not? I played that song all the time for you.
Right.
So I disappointed her and missed a chance to get a photo up.
Oh, boy. Well, you haven't missed a chance as far as Tyrese Maxie is concerned. You've taken him in many ways under your wing. How did all that start? Why did you even do that?
Tyrese is going to be a successful human basketball player, whether if he met me or not. I came into Philly, it was his second year, and everything, with the Ben Simmons thing. Tyrese was starting, coming off the bench. Shake Milton gets injured. Tyrese is starting. And a lot of pressure was put on Tyrese to perform. And to his credit, he has done exactly that. But there are some tough times, and I just wanted to be there for him, to know that he has someone to put his arm around him, and believes in him, and no matter what, that he'd always have someone to lean on. So in that aspect, I've kind of taken him under my wing. By any means, I have not taught him his moves to the rim or how to dunk on people, but I want to try and take a little credit for his three-point shooting ability. But no, I'm just kidding. He's done a great job and tremendous job. But Tyrese is such a joy to be around. The happy guy that you see from the outside looking in is the same person that he is on a day-to-day basis. And being around such a positive person like that, I feel like it was only right for me to try and, guide him along the way. But to no avail, he does not need my help. He's going to be successful either way, but I'm glad that I can be a small part in his life, especially while I'm here in Philadelphia.
It's funny, too, because I know you're very competitive, and here is the student, so to speak, whizzing past the teacher. His three-point percentage is at 43%. You ended the year at 40%. And I know you're uber competitive. I would imagine it makes for a lot of jokes. Is that right?
Yes. The funny thing is we actually have the stats up in the facility. And when he was shooting like 38% and I was shooting in the 40s, I was telling him, like, there's no chance you'll catch me. There's absolutely not. And he took that to heart and went out there. And I remember there's games he was shooting like 6 for 7. I was like, you need to go out there. If we're already winning, you need to go out there and miss some more shots. But we have a belt that we give out, and we give it out at the end of the year. So as of yesterday, I walked in and saw that the belt was on his locker, and I was like, dang it, he surpassed me. But I couldn't be happier for him. He's worked so hard, and he deserves all the success that's coming his way.
We talked about you being very competitive, and it's pretty clear you like to talk your share of trash. Why is that?
I just think that's being from the Northeast. I mean, I think any Philadelphian can understand that is trash talking is an art. It's simply used to, have enough wherewithal to realize you may be lacking, whether that's in athletic ability or physical ability or, anything else. And using trash talking to make someone start thinking about something else that takes them off their game so that you can take advantage of their mishaps. And alongside that is being emotional. I'm an emotional player. If I'm excited, you're going to see it. If I'm pissed off, you're going to see it. And if I have something to say, you're going to see it. And I've been lucky enough to be in this city for 2 years where that's embraced. They want more of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I enjoy that. That's who I am, and I'm not going to change for anybody. And running my mouth is just something I've done my whole life. Has it got me a couple fat lips? Yes, but it hasn't changed how I'm going to act. At least not yet.
So with that, I have to ask you about Angel Reese and, the whole John Cena thing and what she did in the title game. How you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in for trash talking. I thought, this is one of the first times that I really was dialed in to the whole women's NCAA tournament. They did a remarkable job. And the championship game was unreal. And the fact that, Iowa, and I went to school in Iowa, not at the University of Iowa, but I was definitely dialed into what Caitlin Clark was doing. And Angel Reese is a heck of a player. The timing of the trash talking, it could have been better, but I respect it. If you're going to win and you have a lot to say and you're emotional, do what you got to do. Because let me tell you, if roles were reversed, I don't think Caitlin Clark would have been holding back either. So I think there's room in the game for trash talking. I think some people get a little too sensitive about it. Like, it's nothing personal. If you lost, take your loss, go home and get them back next time. And if you won, you just better not talk too much trash so that the next time comes around, you ain't ready for what I'm about to pull out after I beat you.
Ben Simmons, I know you've made your feelings known about Ben at least a number of months ago. I'd like to get your take only because my own feeling about Ben is that it's actually twofold. One, he definitely bears some responsibility for what has happened to him, certainly as it relates to his game. But on the other hand, I've always felt as though mental health has been stigmatized. It's not like he had a foot injury and people can see that and they say, all right, he's got a foot injury, we excuse him. Ben obviously had some mental health issues that he had to deal with. What's your take on Ben these days?
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that, the situation played out the way it did, especially for him. He has his own battles, his own things that he needs to, address and grow. But as far as, the basketball standpoint, I think, you said it correctly. He has to take responsibility for some of those things. And I understand that mental health is stigmatized, and it needs to be addressed. And there are people that have real things going on, which I can understand that 100%. And there's a lot that's asked of us as professional athletes that people do not see, and that can cause anxiety, that can cause depression. And when all things are going wrong, you feel like your walls are closing in on you. I will never know what it's like to walk in Ben Simmons' shoes. I never will. I never have. That's just reality. I only know what it's like to walk in Georges Niang's shoes. So that's all I will ever know. And I'll leave it at this is, you can only control 3 things in your life: your attitude, your effort, and how you treat other people. And I've had to come to my own kumbaya moments of, what I've said about him, and, realize that, I've never known what's going on with him inside his head. So that I have to give him the respect of, and the delicacy of, he's going through some stuff. Sure, were we supposed to be teammates? Where we were teammates but never played alongside each other? But he has to address himself as a human first before a basketball player.
Enough said. And forgive me for asking this, but I need to understand, or let me put it to you this way. There are people out there who do not understand or know of the derivation of minivan. So for the 999,000th time, please tell the story. How'd you get that nickname?
Yeah, when I was in Utah, I was sitting on the bench. I think I was out the rotation, and I got in late in the game and had an opportunity to go dunk it. And it was kind of like real nasty, hands barely touching the rim. And I got back to the locker room, and Joe Ingles was like, man, like, what the heck was that? That was disgusting. Donovan Mitchell was like, yeah, like, did you even jump? And I was like, whoa. I know you guys are like Ferraris, but I'm more like a minivan. I need a couple laps around the block before I get to top speed. And then our sideline reporter heard it while she was in. This is when reporters were allowed to be in the locker room. And she was like, the minivan. I love that. And kind of ran with it, did a story on it. And then Derek Garduno, one of our guys over in Utah, made a hoodie that had my face out the front of it. And he was the originator of that. And now it's carried on with me to Philly. When I first was coming to Philly, I was like, these people are intense sports fans. I'm not sure I want that nickname because they could give the minivan a flat tire, but they've embraced it. They've given me a couple tune-ups, and here we are in year 2.
One last question. You got plenty of time to go in the NBA, but it seems like you've already planned your second career. I understand you want to do what I'm doing. And in fact, you have a podcast with Lauren Rosen, the 76ers reporter. But from what she tells me, it's an idea that you came up with.
Yeah, I've always been interested in speaking my mind and having people listen, and this kind of forces people to listen to me. But no, I enjoy the aspects of getting to know people, talking about different topics. Anyone that knows me knows that I love to talk, and why not put it to good use? But I will tell you this, broadcasters, podcasters, color commentators, any radio hosts, anybody that's in the business, they do not get enough credit for the amount of research that goes into actually being successful. It's one thing to just show up and be good and rely on natural talent, but that's rare, as you can attest to, Mark, is you got to know what you're talking about and you got to know who you're interviewing, and that just doesn't come off just common knowledge. Otherwise, you're just left with a blah product, and nobody wants a blah product. They want the pizzazz. They want the questions that they didn't even think about answering. They want you to ask questions that gets the person that you're talking to tell a story that can paint a picture. And I'm sure Mark, sometimes you talk to people that it's like pulling teeth to get them to give you more than just a one-word answer. So you have to be creative in your own right to tap and touch on different things when you're talking to these people to get them to create a good interview. It takes 2 to tango in this, and you're kind of the conductor, so you kind of have to steer the ship in the right direction. And that's kind of how it's been with podcasting. I was lucky enough that the MBPA offered something for me to take classes on broadcasting and MBA Broadcaster U. I got to do that 2 years in a row, and that was something that helped me tremendously. I got to call a summer league game in Utah. I got to do a little sideline reporting. And the one thing I realized, or 2 things that I realized is, 1, you need to be yourself. And 2 is get out there and just try, because the more reps you get, the better off you'll be.
Georges Niang, I predict greatness for you as a broadcaster and a long career as an NBA player. My friend, thank you so much.
Mark, thank you so much for having me on.